This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second of 3 webinars that will focus on advancing gender equality. I just have a few housekeeping notes before we get started. As you know, we're going to be recording this webinar, and a copy of the presentation will be available afterwards on the EHRC website. There's going to be a Q&A session after Jennifer's presentation for 10 to 15 minutes based on how much time is remaining after the webinar. Also during the webinar today, we're going to ask you to participate in 4 polling questions. In the calendar invite, there is a link for you to access, which is polleb.com/EHRCMARIE. Make sure you have this link ready when we get to the polling questions, and you're going to see everything live. Also, if anybody's getting onto the webinar currently, if you could mute your audio, that helps with any feedback. So first of all, now let me introduce myself to all of our new participants. My name is Marie Mold, and I'm the Manager of Stakeholder Engagement here at EHRC. We are delighted to do this in partnership with Natural Resources Canada and to support the Equal by 30 campaign, which you will hear more about momentarily. I want to give a warm welcome to Kim Shumsky, Senior Policy Advisor in the Environment and Energy Policy Division at NRCan. We are also very pleased to welcome Anne-Raphaëlle Audouin, President of the Canadian Hydropower Association, who will speak to the importance of this topic. The webinar featured speaker today is Jennifer Ladouceur, President and co-founder of Women Leadership Nation. Jennifer will provide the challenges that exist currently in the workplace and how to focus on creating the right environment for successful unity. Okay, so let's get started. For anyone that's new in the audience, Electricity Human Resources Canada is a national not-for-profit organization that addresses the human resource and labor market challenges within the Canadian electricity sector. Our vision is to build a highly skilled, safety-focused, and diverse Canadian electricity workforce for now and the future. But while Canada has a strong and diverse energy supply, unfortunately, the same cannot be said yet for our workforce. As in many technical sectors, women working in energy represent a much smaller component of the workforce than they should. And in many instances, they continue to face barriers that limit their advancement, or indeed their desire to remain in the industry. We have been working diligently over the last decade to support change, and the Leadership Accord was born out of that work. It provides a platform to create a culture of equality and inclusion throughout the workforce. It is a public commitment by employers, labor, and educational institutions to promote the values of diversity, equality, and inclusion, and increase the representation of women, in particular in the skilled trades and non-traditional positions. It is the premise of the Accord that to effect systemic change, a bold vision is required by industry leaders, that those at the top of an organization need to set the standard for others to follow. I'm just flipping to the next slides. There we go. Studies show that diverse teams in the workplace lead to greater innovation, a positive impact on an organization's bottom line, a slew of recruitment and retention benefits, and increased employee commitment. However, as you can see on this slide, the numbers are telling a different story. There are 8.6 million women working in Canada, making up approximately 48% of the Canadian workforce, but still represent only 25% of the workforce in the electricity sector. Furthermore, fewer than 13% of practicing licensed engineers are women. In the trades, you can see that that number plummets to fewer than 5%. Despite the rise in the proportion of women in the electricity industry and best efforts to tap into, develop, and retain this cohort, the pace of improvement has been slow, with the parity between men and women in the industry remaining a long way off. It is clear that we have more work to do. I'd now like to hand it over to Kim Shumsky, who will introduce Anne-Raphaëlle Audouin and the Equal by 30 campaign.
Hi, everybody. And for those of you who were on the call last time, I would just like to say thank you for coming in. And like I did before, just highest praise to our partners in the EHRC. The work they're doing on the leadership of the court is tremendous, a great example of a domestic initiative. I speak to the international perspective, if it isn't perfectly clear. Through NRCan, we co-lead an international campaign that looks a lot like the Leadership Accord. It's called Equal by 30, but I'm not going to say too much about it today. My job is actually to introduce another tremendous partner of ours, Anne-Raphaëlle Audouin, who is the president of the Canadian Hydropower Association. She is a long-time sort of public servant in the community of Ottawa. In the last 9 years, has worked at the provincial energy department in Nova Scotia. She's been involved in social and environmental issue management at Hatch, which is an international engineering consulting firm. She's a founding partner of the Canadian Council of Renewable Electricity, and is now has moved up the ranks at Canadian Hydropower. But what isn't evident in her bio is perhaps just the caliber and passion that she brings to this particular file. Anne-Raphaëlle reached out to us sometime in the fall and said, "I've heard about your initiative. I want to take part." And it didn't stop there. Not only did she join, she said, "Now what can I do to help you?" And immediately offered ways for us to amplify our work, for us to be seen. We were invited to attend their conference, where she made gender equality a major part of the conversation in her keynote, in the people that she invited to participate, in the way she administered her sessions. She recognized women of power, and this year it was Shauna Patchell of Manitoba Hydro. I don't know if you guys are on the line, but way to go. She is really, truly an advocate for women. And when I think about Equal by 30 and sort of the advantage that we have, it is really in supporting other women. Anne-Raphaëlle walks the walk on that one. It is through these partnerships and through powerful leadership like that, I think we really are making progress. So whether and how you decide to join on to Equal by 30 or the Leadership Accord, and of course I think you do, it is in Anne-Raphaëlle's image that I would inspire. I would sort of challenge you to inspire yourself. And with that, I'll turn it over to her, who will tell you a little bit more about Equal by 30. Dans notre deuxième langue officielle, we think that's pretty important. So Anne-Raphaëlle, over to you.
Merci Kim pour cette introduction très généreuse et je veux juste vérifier en premier temps, est-ce que tout le monde peut m'entendre? Parfait. Donc c'est un plaisir de partager quelques commentaires avec vous tous et vous toutes aujourd'hui. À l'échelle internationale, comme vous le savez, le gouvernement du Canada a lancé une campagne axée sur les principes appelés parité d'ici 30, sous l'égide de la Réunion ministérielle sur l'énergie propre. Cette entité qui regroupe 26 pays s'efforce de faire progresser la transition vers un avenir axé sur l'énergie propre et cette année, le Canada sera l'hôte de l'événement à Vancouver au mois de mai. À l'instar de l'accord de leadership, la campagne demande aux organisations d'approuver des principes de haut niveau sur les plans de l'égalité en matière de salaire, mais également de leadership et de possibilités. Elle leur demande de prendre des engagements concrets, comme vous le savez, pouvant être rendus publics et pouvant faire l'objet de suivi. Jusqu'ici, plus de 60 organisations ont adhéré à parité d'ici 30, donc c'est un beau progrès. Le mois de septembre a marqué un des jalons les plus importants lorsque les pays du G7 ont donné leur appui à la campagne parité d'ici 30 à la réunion des ministres de l'énergie à Halifax. Mon organisation, telle que Kim vient de le mentionner, s'est jointe à parité d'ici 30 à peine quelques jours plus tard, soit le 24 septembre 2018. Et nous avons pris des mesures immédiates pour aider à promouvoir énergiquement cette campagne en laquelle je crois fortement, notamment à notre conférence annuelle à Ottawa en novembre 2018. Je crois en effet qu'il est crucial de continuer à défendre des améliorations en matière d'équité en emploi et de parité des femmes et d'autres groupes sous-représentés en approuvant publiquement des campagnes telles que Parité d'ici 30 et l'accord de leadership pour démontrer notre engagement à changer les choses. J'ai vu une statistique et elle vous a été mentionnée il y a quelques minutes lors de la présentation, que environ donc 47% de la main-d'œuvre canadienne se compose de femmes, mais pourtant proportionnellement, elle ne compte que pour 25% de la main-d'œuvre totale du secteur canadien de l'électricité. Donc l'approbation publique et la défense de la cause constituent une des premières étapes de la démarche vers l'intensification des efforts de diversité et d'inclusion et l'amélioration de ces statistiques. Et je crois que nous sommes à un moment décisif et nous commençons à avoir des résultats positifs tangibles au sein des organisations qui s'engagent et participent. Et c'est bien sûr pour cette raison que, tel que cela vous a été mentionné, que J'appuie fortement cette initiative, notamment au sein de notre organisation, mais également lors de notre conférence annuelle. En prenant ces engagements publics, les entreprises sont forcées de revoir leurs propres politiques et procédures internes et ce faisant de définir les préjugés inhérents dont ils n'avaient peut-être pas conscience auparavant. Il existe un programme qui illustre très bien comment on peut aider à éliminer ces préjugés et à créer des possibilités concrètes pour les femmes et les autres groupes sous-représentés. J'ai nommé bien évidemment le programme Empowering Futures de EHRC. Empowering Futures est très efficace pour ce qui est d'appuyer l'équité en emploi en offrant des subventions salariales pouvant aller jusqu'à 7 000 $, ce qui est considérable, aux entreprises qui créent des possibilités d'apprentissage à l'intention des étudiants de niveau post-secondaire. Il encourage par ailleurs les femmes et les autres groupes sous-représentés à avoir des carrières dans les disciplines de sciences, technologies, ingénierie et mathématiques. Il me semble qu'il faut déployer plus d'initiatives comme celle-là pour intensifier les efforts de recrutement et de rétention des femmes et des autres groupes sous-représentés. Un autre formidable catalyseur propulse le changement et il s'agit du leadership de groupes comme Women in Renewable Energy, WIRE. Non seulement WIRE fait-il la promotion de l'équité des sexes et de la parité en déployant ses propres efforts de défense de la cause, par exemple des rencontres, des possibilités de mentorat et des prix, comme vous l'avez sans doute vu récemment, le Clean Energy Education and Empowerment Award, mais il s'affaire également à établir de nouveaux partenariats pour aider à consolider ces messages et à étendre sa portée. L'année dernière, nous avons fait équipe avec WIRE parce que nous croyons fondamentalement dans le mandat de cette organisation et dans les buts qu'ils se sont donnés. Pour décerner le tout premier prix Women of Distinction lors de notre forum canadien sur l'hydroélectricité de 2018. Et nous avons hâte de poursuivre cette tradition lors de notre prochaine conférence sur l'énergie hydroélectrique au Canada qui aura lieu les 25 et 26 septembre à Montréal. Ce prix a été conçu pour rendre hommage aux femmes de l'industrie de l'énergie hydroélectrique pour leur dur labeur, leur engagement et leur dévouement. C'est un formidable moyen pour nous, en tant qu'association, de continuer à démontrer notre engagement à changer les choses. Donc, bien que les faits suggèrent que nous avons commencé à voir des signes d'amélioration en ce qui a trait à la parité et à l'équité des sexes, surtout en comparaison avec la situation telle qu'elle était il y a plus de 20 ans, il est évident qu'il reste beaucoup de travail à faire. Pour évoquer mon expérience personnelle, et sans m'attarder trop longtemps, j'ai été la première femme à être embauchée comme employée à temps plein par l'Association canadienne de l'hydroélectricité dans ses 20 ans d'existence. Et je suis fière d'avoir fait mon chemin jusqu'à en être présidente, nommée à l'automne dernier. Mais je veux surtout encourager les femmes à agir comme exemple et comme mentor, et en fin de compte, à autonomiser d'autres femmes et les générations futures à viser toujours plus haut et à ne pas se sentir découragées dans leur recherche d'emploi, tous secteurs confondus. J'espère que ce message résonnera bientôt encore plus fort chez nos membres et que nous commencerons à voir de plus en plus d'intervenants et d'influenceurs de l'industrie canadienne de l'hydroélectricité qui s'engagent en devenant signataires et en démontrant leur leadership. Et pour conclure, je mentionnerai un des aspects intéressants de parité d'ici 30, qui est que les signataires existants de l'accord de leadership de EHRC peuvent signer la plateforme internationale de manière transparente. Les signataires de cet accord continueront de rendre compte directement des progrès accomplis par rapport aux engagements énoncés dans l'accord. Tandis que nous approchons de la réunion ministérielle sur l'énergie propre, nous invitons les organisations canadiennes, tant les membres de l'accord de leadership que ceux qui envisagent toujours d'y donner leur appui, à se voir comme des leaders en matière d'équité des sexes et à tirer profit de ce rayonnement international. Donc sur cette note positive, je vais clôturer mon intervention, mais je reste bien sûr à votre disposition pour toute question au cours de notre webinaire aujourd'hui. Merci.
So this is Kim Shumsky once again. Thank you very, very much. For anybody on the call whose first language is not French and you want to know what Anne-Raphaëlle has just said, please reach out to me, Kim Shumsky, or to Marie. We do have these remarks translated, of course, but inclusion includes being respectful of people's first languages, and we know that there's people listening in from Quebec. So we hope that we were able to follow along, and if not, happy to share what we have so that you can read further. Thank you so much, Anne-Raphaëlle.
Merci.
Kim, did you want to talk a little bit more about the Equal by 30 or?
It was covered so well by Anne-Raphaëlle. I've got nothing further to add. But again, we'll throw it over to the main attraction here today and hear from better people. Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you, Kim. Thank you, Anne-Raphaëlle. Merci beaucoup. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Jennifer Ladouceur. She's the president and co-founder of Women Leadership Nation. It's an organization committed to closing the gender gap and creating unified workplaces. Jennifer is a serial entrepreneur and has held senior leadership positions in the private, public, and government sectors, where she herself has faced many obstacles and challenges. Jennifer has dedicated the past 2 years to investigating why the gender gap is not closing and developing holistic solutions that help organizations attract, develop, engage, and retain women leaders by creating more unified workplaces. Today, Jennifer will share the challenges that exist in the current workplace and how to focus on creating the right environment for successful unity. Jennifer, over to you. I'm going to give you the screen in just 1 second. And you should be good to go.
You can see that? Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for inviting me to present on this really important topic. This is something that's really dear to my heart, and something like Marie said, that I've spent the last 2 years doing significant research and trying to understand why in every role that I've held, whether it's been in investment banking, in consulting, or in the government, why in many cases I've been the only woman in the room. And I know how that's made me feel, and I believe that there's so much more potential, but really trying to understand why are organizations truly struggling to close the gap. In the presentation today, I will offer my perspective on why I believe that organizations are often taking the wrong approach and what a new approach might look like. So, but to begin with, by the very nature of you participating, obviously you believe that this is an important topic and something that you also are looking to progress. And I'm sure that we are making progress in some ways, but in many ways, we still have a long way to go. Now, over the 2 years that I've spent the research, I was shocked at how far we still have to go. Women represent still only 47% of the labor force in Canada, and yet less than 5% of CEOs are women. The percentage of companies without any women on the board fell to 37% in 2017. And what we're finding in a lot of research that we're reviewing is that we're actually taking steps backwards. On average, women are promoted at a lower rate than men. And 1 in 5 people say that there are no women in leadership positions at all in their current companies. Taking a closer look at the electricity sector, the gap is significant, and at a time when significant opportunities still exist. An Ernst & Young study that found that women represent only 5% of board executives and only 16% of board members across the global power and utility sector in 2015. According to the 2011 Labor Market Report, Power in Motion, the electricity and renewable energy sector in Canada is experiencing a major investment boom and will see much of the existing system replaced or upgraded. During the transition from legacy to next generation infrastructure, it's estimated that the next generation energy projects will involve 2 decades of construction at a cost of $295 billion. So that's very significant to not have parity and have the opportunity available to women as well. Canada's electricity and renewable energy sector will need to recruit 45,000 new employees between 2011 and 2016. That's 45,000 to meet the labor market associated with next generation projects and to shift to renewable energies. This is twice the number of employees recruited over the last 5 years. Progress is slow. In fact, it's actually going to take 170 years to close the economic undergrowth. That's way too slow, particularly when we could be adding trillions of dollars to the global economy if we were only reaching parity. You have to ask yourself why. When businesses, organizations, governments, not-for-profits are investing money into programs trying to solve the problem, why are we not closing the gap at a faster rate? The studies all point to one answer. When you take a look at the question, why are organizations not progressing? What we found, based on research, talking to businesses and our clients, is that typically organizations are too focused on trying to solve individual pain points by applying one-off disconnected Band-Aid solutions. So for example, an organization will be struggling with harassment in the workplace, and they'll introduce a sensitivity training program. Or they'll find that a large percentage of the workforce is stressed out or going off on sick leave, so they'll offer flexible work arrangements. Maternity leave is a big one. In Europe, they deal with it very differently. They support the women before, during, and after maternity. Here, we institute, support with wage and leave extensions and that type of thing. But quite often, women will go off on maternity, be completely divorced from the company, not really know what's going on, and expect to just reintegrate quickly. All of these individual solutions are all good. Each solution in its own right helps, but is it really enough? Is it really the right approach? Or is there another approach that we could be taking? Launching a diversity and inclusion committee, that's often another step that companies take. And in many cases, they're looking at it as really just checking off the box. A lot of times these committees are just at random selecting speakers to come in. They are addressing a need, but really, is it far enough? Solving the gender gap and creating a unified workplace is a complex problem to be solved and requires a strategic approach. The reality is what we are doing today isn't working. We're only seeing part of the problem, part of the picture. We are too focused on the symptoms and the problem and not seeing the bigger picture. I'll move it on to, I'll give it back to Marie to go through the poll. We just want to quickly poll you to see what the barriers.
Yes, and I see that, yeah, the last question, I'll have to go back to that. Okay, so if everybody's logged on to the link that I provided into your calendar invite, it's also at the top of this. So we're going to do a poll. Jennifer, is there a way that you can, you're in the live slideshow, correct?
Yep.
Okay. For some reason, okay, I'm going to have to go back to my screen because I'm not sure if this is going to. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll try this. So everybody should see the questions. Just let me clear these results. Or has people, I guess people have started actually, yeah, here we go. They're actually doing their results. So I'll just wait about a minute and see how this goes. As you can see the live results on this poll currently.
So this is very interesting already what's coming in. So like we're saying, there's a lot of talk and no action. There's the concerns and resistance from men, that's going up too. One of the things we found in research is that a lot of the programs that are being developed are actually including only women. And we feel that that's really not helping, that a solution needs to include men in the answers.
Seems to be the
Yeah,
the
by
dominant.
7%. Lots of talk, no action. Well, hopefully we're going to cover some ways that you can take action today.
So just wait a little bit longer, Jennifer, and then I'll log the results. Okay, looks like the activity stopped, so I'll lock it at that. And if you just give me a second, I'll shoot it back to you.
Great.
There you go.
Right, so the time has come for a new approach, since what we're doing today isn't working. An approach that looks at creating a unified workplace, one that embraces diversity, inclusion, and collaboration. We need to take a holistic approach, recognizing the need for a unity strategy that includes everyone as part of the solution and influences the overall corporate culture. An approach that might get uncomfortable, requires authentic leadership, and goes beyond the internal stakeholders and builds stronger connections with all partners, both internal and external. If we want to make progress and we want to move beyond diversity and inclusion and towards creating a more unified workplace, we need to take some radical steps. A new approach that begins with recognizing barriers and create solutions. Research has been done by Harvard, and in fact, there's an incredible book called Through the Labyrinth. And in this book, what they do is they express how women have broken through the glass ceiling. Women have reached the top in many industries. I was looking at the electricity industry. TransAlta, which was formerly Calgary Power, has a female CEO and president. She's been in place since 2012, and she's the second highest paid female CEO in Canada. So we can't say that women haven't broken through the glass ceiling. However, what we found once we've gotten through there is that it's a more complex labyrinth that we need to navigate. And if you take that concept, it really helps us build a solution by looking at it as a labyrinth. Women are faced with more obstacles and roadblocks along the way. A new approach must recognize this. Organizations must understand the barriers that exist within their organization to make it easier to navigate. We must focus on creating the right environment for successful unity in the workplace that will drive innovation and other economic and social benefits. After researching the question, why are we not successfully closing the gender gap and creating unity in the workplace, we uncovered 12 building blocks to unity and 12 areas that make up a holistic approach. And again, study after study that we've read, that's on the market, that's available, and in talking to companies and clients, these are all 12 components that make up a successful unified workplace. Champions. So again, we need to have champions. We need to have strong leaders with a vision. If the leadership doesn't believe in it, you won't be able to make any progress. You need to have awareness, and awareness not just from a corporate perspective in terms of where the roadblocks to, and for example, in the legal field, what we're finding is a lot of women are 50-50 going into the field, making it to manager, but they're not making it to partner. So really deep awareness, but also personal awareness for the employees themselves. So the women that want to progress to certain levels and achieve things, there needs to be more clarity and support in them understanding what their strengths and what their personal challenges and labyrinths are. Unity goals. We need to set realistic, smart unity goals and really stick to that and build strategies around it. We need to be inclusive. So solutions need to include everyone, including men and women, and even suppliers in some cases. We've found that businesses have a deep relationship with strategic partners that are really a face and represent their companies, they need to be included as well. You need to have training accessible to all. You need to have in-person formal training to be able to give all of your employees the tools and resources needed to be successful. You need to build a structure around unity skills. What skills are important to you in your organization? What would you represent in terms of your organization? What are the habits? What are the behaviors that are important and represent unity? Experiential learning. We need to get people to be able to be comfortable with having courageous conversations. We need to make it real in their environment. We need to build a supportive network. We need to be able to have a supportive network internally and externally across the organization. This also includes having sponsors and champions and mentors. And sponsors are very different from mentors. Again, a lot of the research is saying that there's a lack of sponsorship. So where you would have a mentor guide you, but whereas a sponsorship might actually open doors and really present opportunities to you. We need to create actual opportunities. You know, a lot of times we found organizations that were providing the support, but then when it came to a woman wanting to grow, there was actually no room for growth. There was no opportunities to excel. Culture, again, this is deeply entrenched. Culture captures the way in which groups and people perceive, interpret, and understand the world around them. These cultures communicate directives that have a profound influence on how we think, what we believe, and how we act. Role models. We need to have successful role models that can really make it possible for people to see what's possible. And we need to look at the pipeline and how we're ensuring that women are choosing STEM and from the very beginning when they go in through high school and through college and university and then career. And measure, we need to be able to measure results, activities, track what's working and what needs modification. We don't have enough time to do a deep dive into all 12 building blocks. So today we're going to focus on number 1, creating gender champions. Some of the obstacles and roadblocks women are facing require them to take different routes in the labyrinth. Some of the roadblocks that we've found based on research, some of the biggest ones are, you know, unwelcoming environments, limited opportunities for advancements, family obligations placing stress or pressure on them, lack of women role models, no support during pre and post maternity, lack of flexible working arrangements, limited networking opportunities, lack of sponsors, and so on. I know in my career, there's been a number, when you take a look at the family obligations, when I was at the City of Vaughan, I was the Director of Economic Development and Culture, and that involved a lot of international travel. And, you know, being away for a few weeks at a time, it can be challenging, right? So, you know, we need to take a look at, we want to have great talent in place, but what are some ways that we can help them to better navigate it? And I think the responsibility lies on the corporation to make it, an organization to make it the labyrinth more easy to navigate, as well as the individuals. We can't focus on fixing the women any longer. What we need to do is look at the problem holistically and start addressing problems with the entire environment in which women are struggling to navigate. So I'll pass it back to you, Marie, to do another poll question.
Sure. That is okay. Here is the second poll. Looks like people are already, they've got the hang of it. Fantastic.
So this is really interesting. So the power of speaking your truth, again, this goes to the authentic leadership. We believe that really you need to be, well, it's 50-50, very interesting. So again, you know, for the first one, I know I am known for speaking truth into power and really being able to be your authentic self, and also the organization being able to set up a culture where that's okay to speak your truth is really important. And this is very interesting, 50-50. So, and very careful about who and when. And again, that's very, very interesting, because we need to be able to create a culture where it's okay to be able to speak your truth and actually encourage it, and not have ramifications to speaking your truth. So what we've done here is the theory of the labyrinth. We've created a little exercise that you can we'll make available to you, that you can actually do within your organization to get started, and helps you see the bigger picture and gain clarity into your current situation, and develop some new strategies for creating unity and the ideal environment for unity. So you start with step one, is really begin by identifying your professional goals or your organizational goals. So this can be done at a personal level and also a professional level, organizational level. So step two is really identifying what your specific challenges, roadblocks, and opportunities are that you have to navigate. And then third is identifying strategies and solutions for actually navigating. So what's very interesting is that you start to really break down and get to the core of what are some of the challenges. And in fact, what we've found is that sometimes it may not be what you think. It may be that there's certain systems or archaic processes that are in place that are actually limiting you know, the opportunity to increase innovation and collaboration. So we're going to take a deeper look at how we empower gender champions, and really how you set that up, because we believe that it's not enough to say we're going to have gender champions in the organization, raise your hand who would like to be, and just say, okay, go. There really needs to be some thought and methodology to it. What is a gender champion? When we started with that, we asked ourselves that question. We started by really doing some looking at what is the definition, first of all, of a champion. And a champion is a person who fights or argues for a cause on behalf of themselves or someone else. And we believe the definition needs to expand. When you look at gender champions, we believe gender champions need to have knowledge of the diversity landscape within their organization and industry. They have to be inclusive and encourage radical collaboration, not just collaboration, but radical, daily at an organizational level. And they are not only individuals at the top, but it needs to be all employees at all levels across the organization. The champions need to drive new initiatives, inspire new ideas and approaches, and have a strong impact on the organization's culture. And again, these need to be men and women. We need to have a culture where women support women better, and in some cases that is an issue. And we need to have a culture where men support women as well. We've broken it down to 4 phases in terms of developing a unity workplace. And really within each of those phases, again, the role, the responsibility, and the needs for supporting gender champions at each phase is going to be completely different. So we need to be able to take a look at that. In terms of the 4 phases, we have phase 1 being the discovery, phase 2 being a strategy, phase 3 launching and building phase, and then phase 4 is measuring. When we look at phase 1 in terms of discovery, we need to look at defining the roles of the gender diversity champions. Specifically, what is it that you would like these individuals to achieve? What is the goal? And with that level of clarity, they're going to be more successful. We need to build the business case with them, and so that they have a really strong sense of what is it that we're trying to achieve at a corporate level, particularly if they come across anybody that has concerns or is that a little more negative towards it. We need to examine the organization's corporate culture, and we need to be very comfortable with being uncomfortable and being very honest about what is it in the corporate culture that is really adding to and creating barriers, and what is it that we'd like to achieve in terms of creating a new culture. What does that look like? We need to look at conscious and unconscious bias, and everyone has that. And one of my friends, she's the head of HR for Roche, and she gave a really great TED Talk. As an HR professional, she expressed that she actually has a bias against women. And she explains in her talk that it was an unconscious bias that she wasn't even aware of. And she actually presents some great strategies as to how do you discover whether you have an unconscious bias. And you can watch the presentation, but really at the end of the day, it's the theory is you flip it to test it. Somebody had come into her office. It was a man came into her office and asked if he could have his pay reassessed, and she said okay. And then a woman came in and she asked the same question, and she said in her mind she was thinking, well, you're paid enough, and that was sort of the trigger for her. We need to uncover opportunities. Now, there's already a lot of things that organizations are probably doing very well, and there's always a lot of opportunities for growth, and we know that diversity and inclusion spurs innovation. So what are the opportunities that we can leverage by all of these new initiatives? We need to increase the employees' overall level of self-awareness and connection to purpose, particularly the next generation that's coming up. They want to have a sense of purpose. They want to feel like they're making a difference, and this certainly can contribute towards it. We need to embrace training and experiential learning, and we need to be able to train them and prepare them so that they can go out and be successful in the organization and represent them properly. We need to develop unity skills, and you need to create a corporate culture of unity, understanding what that means to you. What does that look and feel like within your organization? And some of the things that recommend also in terms of supporting not only your employees but the gender champions particularly is trying to really lead from a place of strength. So allowing them to evaluate clearly what their strengths are and leverage those. So we've created another worksheet that can be done for really developing a strategy for creating gender champions. Step one really looks at what does the role of a gender champion mean to you? What does it look and feel like in your organization? And then identifying the challenges, roadblocks, opportunities, and then associated strategies. So based on those challenges that you've identified, what is it that they potentially could be coming across? What area, and that might be different. Again, that's why the discovery is so important in terms of understanding, and certainly signing the accord is a great step to really understanding your current environment and understanding where there might be some challenges. And you might find that there might be certain departments that are excelling and can act as a role model where other departments are lagging and could benefit from some strategies there to help them to grow. When we take a closer look at the unity skills and what I was referring to, if I was to tell you to go to work today and to be more diverse, more inclusive, more collaborative, just go to work and be more unified, what does that look like? You know, we can't just expect that we express a desire to our employees, but not give them the skills and understand the behaviors and the habits of achieving that. So we asked the exact same question. what would that mean if somebody were to ask us to be more unified? And we created 12 unity skills that we've created measurable habits and behaviors linked to. If you were asking your gender champions to be your voice and your spokesperson, then you need to be able to clearly articulate the types of behaviors and habits they should demonstrate. So take a closer look at what that really means. So by establishing the unity skills important to you and your organization, you have the ability to clearly explain the associated behaviors and habits. So clearly for us, empathy, when we look at what a unified workplace would look and feel like to us, we feel that a skill that's required is empathy. And so a habit is that to perceive. So again, a behavior is I'm sensing the emotions inside and around me. So my colleague here might be having a really bad day, and so I'm more empathetic and understanding towards them, or I might help them out on a project. It's some of the other skill sets are the communication. Again, that action would be listening, community, which would be commitment, cooperation, intention set, creativity, attend, that you're more mindful, that your negotiation, again, I'm thinking ahead, possible roadblocks, critical thinking, I'm seeing information in context, decision making, I'm articulating needs and constraints. So this could be, these are the 12 that we've identified as being key and core. But you could take a look at what your organization what your mission and vision is, and there might be other ones, other skill sets that can be linked to actions that can be very shown, and based on those, you can then actually work with employees in terms of measuring and in terms of teaching them how to represent that. So phase 2 is the strategy phase. We need to define outcomes and expectations, and we need to identify roles and responsibilities, set really smart unity goals and objectives, create an action plan, and look at it. What does it look like 30, 60, 90 days out? We need to identify and engage role models, and we need to brand the entire initiative. Really, I've seen a lot of people have a lot of different initiatives. When you sit down and talk to them, they might have a committee, they might have a mentorship program, they might have a few other initiatives underway, they might have new policies and procedures, but the organization overall and your clients don't necessarily know that you have that because it's not properly packaged. And you really need to be able to package and brand your entire initiative to create excitement, to encourage engagement, to really show the breadth of everything that you're planning on doing, and really to show that it's a holistic approach. Phase 3, which is launching and building phase, you need to be able to identify the initiatives, but really launch them in a powerful way. You might have other initiatives already going on that you could tag on to, but really encouraging and creating excitement around it from the beginning, and then also finding ways of maintaining that excitement is really important. You need to be able to introduce the gender diversity champions to the organizations and to key stakeholders, and and allow them to feel a sense of pride of having that role, and encouraging them to continue to go out and promote diversity. You need to provide ongoing support to champions, and you need to encourage in grassroots initiatives. So you'll have your overall strategy, but you need to be able to encourage others, whether they're the champions or they're any employee at any level, to come forward with new ideas, because they're going to all have a different perspective, and you'll be very surprised at what will come from that, and also a sense of accomplishment from the individuals. And you need to demonstrate support from the top. So again, in all the studies that we've read, one of the reasons why organizations fail to close the gap or to make progress is because they don't have support from the top. So we need to be able to demonstrate that. We need to be able to encourage organizations to have courageous conversations. Some of this is very difficult. We need to be able to be very honest, but feel that that's not going to come back to us. And we need to be able to continue to maintain that momentum. Phase 4, measurement and recognition, that's very critical. Again, this was lacking in the study, saying that a lot of organizations are doing initiatives, but they don't necessarily have know what the results are. And you're going to need that from a support from a financial perspective to be able to go back to leadership and say, you know, it generated these results, so continue to fund, as well as just knowing that you actually are making progress. So you need to have the measurable goals. You need to recognize and celebrate the progress that you're making, even if it's small. You need to be able to share success stories, and video is very powerful. Again, you want to, individuals, particularly in this world now where everybody's emailing or texting, we need to be able to create a sense of all coming together and actually engaging again. So that's a big one. Ongoing support momentum. You can't just set it and let it go. You need to really ensure that it's continuing to create momentum. And you need to be able to be okay with adjusting the strategy as required. Because a lot of times you're going to find that it's okay if something doesn't work or is not as effective. At least you know now you can move on. So you need to set that. And that's also something that's critical for innovation. So again, all of this is creating more innovation in your organization. And again, I just have to say, by signing the accord, this actually helps you put a lot of these pieces into place. And you can also share success and stories and learn from one another. So I'm going to pass it on to Marie for another polling.
Yeah, we'll try and do this fairly quickly. Third poll.
That's great. It looks, I mean, by the very fact that you're on this call, on this webinar, it shows that you play an active role. So that's excellent. Again, some of the studies we found that women were not necessarily given access to leaders and to champions.
Okay, so I'm going to lock it here. Let's, oh, wait one more second. It's fairly close. Okay, I'm going to lock it there. Let's send it back to you, Jennifer.
So when you take a look at characteristics, listed just a few characteristics and actions of what diversity champions really look like. Just quickly, some of the characteristics are they're influencers. They believe in the business case. You have to truly believe in it. They're authentic leaders. They're effective networkers, and they're skilled at answering tough questions, which they might be faced with. Some of the actions are they are able to start conversations, particularly difficult ones when necessary. They call out barriers and help to find solutions. They're really mentors. They walk the walk, and they bring people together. And you know, so why would you go to all this work? We're all busy enough day-to-day lives. Besides the fact that this is the right thing to do, to really build more unity in your workplace. Well, it's proven that having women in the workplace is proven to result in better financial performance, stronger problem solving, more collaboration and support developing others, increased trust and stronger corporate culture, lower risk, better customer service, and increased innovation. So these are all great reasons as to why an organization can truly build a business case around creating more unity in the workplace. We have created a gender champion toolkit. It's really a how-to guide. If you reach out to me, I can provide you with a copy. But really, it's a step-by-step guide in offering questions that you need to answer at each of the 4 stages in order to build your strategy. And again, I wanted to just acknowledge that we believe that, signing the Leadership Accord is a great first step. It provides you with really a toolkit to getting started and also supporting you in terms of maintaining momentum. So thank you so much for allowing me to present. I hope you were able to get some valuable insights. And I think we're going to be open to questions.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. I just wanted to say it was a great presentation. I loved the story that you had on unconscious bias. Maybe you could even share that that link of the TED Talk. We could forward that off to everybody. I also thought your approach seemed quite extensive and a great way to begin looking at gender unity for those who are just starting to create a program or who already have a program but perhaps need a few tweaks. So I'm going to open it up to some questions. We do have about 3.5 minutes before we do our final poll. So you can either get on the line or send me a chat question. Okay, well, Jennifer, I can start off with one question. Where would an organization start when they're looking at creating a unity workforce? Do they need, we've heard this before, executive buy-in, or should they be reviewing their current initiatives?
I think that's a good question. I think that the first step is definitely getting the leadership buy-in. Working, say, in government and even other organizations, if you don't have the support at the top, then you're not really going to be able to make ground. And that goes for innovation as well. You want to, this is going to require change. And if you don't have the support to be able to make changes necessary, then you're going to get frustrated. So I think it's possible if you don't have support at the top that you still need to be pushing and trying to do, even within there's certain organizations I've worked in where we haven't had the support at the top, and so within the department that I managed, I tried to create a community, a little community of unity in a sense, in a larger corporation that there was still challenges. But.
Okay, great. I have one from online. The question is, how can you tell the difference between true buy-in from the leader versus just good talk?
Yeah, so I guess you never really know until, because it depends on the individual, and a lot of people definitely talk about it. I think you'll find out very quickly when, a lot of the things that we're talking about might already be in place. And there's small initiatives that'll be like, yeah, that's fine, go ahead and do it. The first time you'll be able to see if you don't have full support is when there's something major that needs to change in the organization. So for example, maybe there's some HR policies or processes that actually are creating barriers that need to change, and you get resistance. My advice, if you receive or come across resistance, is again going about it from a positive perspective in terms of building your business case for why you need to make that change. But I think it's human nature that some organizations, you're going to get individuals that talk the talk, but you just, as a the leadership team, you need to just try and keep pushing forward.
Okay, thank you. I have one last question before we finish off the last poll. So how long does it take to go through the 12 Unity steps the first time? I assume it needs to be an ongoing process.
Yeah, it really is. I think the great thing to do is really sit down, maybe plan, if it's possible, a day or a half day, and really look at the 12 steps and address and ask yourselves, there's probably already areas and steps that you're already doing really well. And so you can really, take your time in terms of identifying what's most important to you, where are the areas you're already doing well, and then just focus in on those key areas where you're not. And the whole idea of the 12 steps is that we need to look at the problem holistically. And so if you are missing some, you really need to have even just some small initiatives in each area, I think, to be very successful.
Great. Okay, thank you. Just going to finish off quickly. So if you want more information about the Leadership Accord or Equal by 30, you can visit these two sites. If anybody wants to ask us more questions after the webinar, you can send it to the link that provided you the registration, info@electricityhr.ca. And here's the final poll before we close out the webinar. So if anybody's left on the line, I do see some people here, if they want to start putting in their responses, just by typing in one word. Oh, nice. This will result in a word cloud. I'll wait just a little bit longer. Some great results coming in. Thank you, everybody. I love the word hope in there. Okay, I'm going to lock it at that. So just before I finish it up, Kim, did you want to say some final remarks?
Sorry about that. Yes, thank you very much, Marie, again, for a wonderful session. Jennifer, insightful. I always learn something on these, and you had a lot to sort of take note of. So I appreciate this very much. I think, Marie, I might be stealing your thunder, but we're doing this again in a month, and I encourage everybody to sign up and come out and hear and learn and share and collaborate a little bit more.
Great, thank you. All right, well, thank you, Kim, Anne-Raphaëlle, and Jennifer. I hope this has been a valuable session today to everyone who participated. Thank you to all of our participants. If you have any questions, as I mentioned earlier, you can send them to the info@electricityhr.ca. And we do look forward to the third and last of this series, which will be happening on Wednesday, March the 6th, where we'll look at You're Doing the Right Thing, Now What? Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.